We haven't even talked about the fact that the Reverend Al Sharpton is coming to town at 6 o'clock to be part of a demonstration that is being led by the NAACP and people that support Tonya McDowell. Let me remind you of the facts of that case. Tonya McDowell is a mom who has a 5-year-old boy, and the 5-year-old boy was pulled from the Brookside school in kindergarten on the grounds that his mother lied about the address in which she lived. She gave her babysitter's address. Her babysitter lived in a public housing project. When they were caught in the lie during a housing authority legal proceeding, the mom, Tonya McDowell, was charged with theft of services, grand larceny, for having enrolled her son in Norwalk when she allegedly didn't live in Norwalk. In fact, gave the babysitter's address. She claims that she's homeless. She didn't live anywhere. And in fact, the last time she registered was as a homeless person in Norwalk back in 2009. And even though she'd been living on and off in a van in Bridgeport, one address was as good as another because she didn't have a permanent place to live, and her son needed a place to go to school. This is not an uncommon occurrence in Norwalk or any other school district in which parents lie in order to send their kids to presumably a better school. Tonya McDowell is one of 27 parents in this school year alone that was found to have lied on a residency application, but she is the only one being prosecuted as a criminal. So, Mayor Moshe's stepdaughter, Suzanne Muir, is our prosecuting attorney. She has not dropped the charges yet. And as far as we know, I believe this is the reason that the Reverend Al Sharpton is coming to town. I understand his office issued some kind of a press release that he intends to talk about other things like the equality of education and commemorating the great Brown versus Board of Education Supreme Court decision that outlawed desegregation in schools. But I really am curious to see what he says when he's there. So, in fact, at 6 o'clock, if I can get my energy going and Sugar feels like coming with me, because she's in the studio with me, we may just toddle on over there to see what all the fuss is about. The Reverend Al Sharpton has a rather checkered past when it comes to telling truth of his own, does he not? People don't like to talk about that anymore because he has rehabilitated his reputation to a tremendous degree. But those of us who have longer elephantine memories remember the case of Tawana Brawley, who was a black girl who alleged that a terrible crime had been perpetrated on her by a New York City policeman. Not New York City, New York State policeman. And she turned out to have been a complete and utter liar. But while she was lying, it was the Reverend Al Sharpton who made a national name and reputation for defending her good name and what had happened to her, without a shred of evidence that, in fact, anything had happened to this woman. By the way, and it wasn't a rape or anything like that. It was that she had been thrown into a garbage can and some feces had been put on the outside of the garbage can. It was something like that. And those are the facts that I recall. In any event, this man's reputation, whose name I don't even remember now, was totally, totally besmirched. Totally. Mostly by the Reverend Al Sharpton, who most of us hadn't heard of before that time. Anyway, despite the fact that Tawana Brawley's name lives in infamy, and she was found to be a liar, she didn't suffer any consequences, and neither did the Reverend Al Sharpton, who went on to fame and recognition as somebody who advocates and agitates on behalf of people in his community that he believes are unfairly treated. And so he is the first place that those people call because they don't know who else to call. I guess they could call Jesse Jackson, but he's in Chicago. Reverend Al Sharpton's on the East Coast. He's gotten trim, he's gotten dapper, he's engaged in many debates with Sean Hannity in public forums, and he takes on people. I will tell you that I've met him several times in person, and he is very witty and very smart. I don't know if his finances have ever been looked into. I don't know if there are any questions any longer about his integrity or character. But I know he's trimmed down tremendously. He used to have a belly. Now he's very slim. Watches what he eats very carefully. And he is a person who represents a community when that community feels put upon and unfairly treated. For my 2 cents, I think Tonya McDowell is being unfairly treated. I don't know why the city of Norwalk is continuing to throw our tax dollars at prosecuting this woman, when it is clear that she and her family are in distress, when it is clear that this little boy needs to go to school someplace, if not here, Bridgeport, someplace. And it is not at all clear to me what the purpose of such a prosecution would ever result in. If we find the woman, she has no money. What are we supposed to take? Blood from a stone? If we prosecute her and want her to go to jail, what are we accomplishing? Breaking up a family of a presumably decent mom who wants her son to go to school? That's the only thing we know about her right now, is that she's homeless, she's down on her luck, and that she wanted her son to attend a school at age 5 rather than not go to school. So what are we doing as a community? Why are we prosecuting her? Why aren't we helping her? Or at least leaving her alone? At least let's leave her alone. It seems to me that Norwalk is making a mistake. When you make a mistake and compound it by being stubborn about it, it's worse. When you make a mistake at the beginning and you realize, oh, I've made a mistake, and you change course, to me that's leadership. I always found that President Bush was not a good president because he was loyal to a fault. And what I mean by that is he had a relationship with Dick Cheney, who he relied on, who many people believe pulled the strings behind his presidency. And he was very loyal to Dick Cheney, but to a fault. He never separated himself from Dick Cheney when it came time for some very important decisions. And if Mayor Moshe is listening to me, Mayor Moshe, I don't know that you have any influence over this. I can only guess that you might. Maybe personal or professional. After all, your stepdaughter is the prosecutor. Or Suzanne Muir, if you're listening to me as the prosecutor, I think it would be wise for you to reconsider the prosecution of this case. Simply because I don't see what you think you're going to accomplish on behalf of the people of the state of Connecticut. This woman is not otherwise a criminal. And the fact that she enrolled her son in school for a few months and he took advantage of some kindergarten, big deal. Big deal. So he sat in the classroom with the rest of the kids. You didn't hire a new teacher for him. Who are you kidding? You gave him a few free lunches? What are we talking about? We should be talking about compassion. Mayor Moshe is always on the air telling me how wonderful our departments are in Norwalk when it comes to lending a helping hand to homeless people. So where's the helping hand? 26 other parents this year were handled administratively, and their kids were removed from school if they were found to have lied about their residences. Why are we still engaging in a criminal prosecution of Tonya McDowell? Tell me. Give me a good reason for it.